I don't know if I would say that safety was the most important position for the New England Patriots. You have guys like Kyle Duggar, like Adrian Phillips, like Devin McCourtney already on the roster. So going out and getting Jabrill Peppers, it seems like a bit of an interesting move. For one thing, it's just a one-year deal, which to me feels like it's kind of maybe a one-year prove-it deal a little bit for Peppers. What I'm assuming the logic behind this is he's saying, hey, going to New England where guys tend to look good in that system for a one-year deal. He's coming off of the ACL injury, going to kind of see if he can, prove himself a little bit and maybe get a bigger contract and a longer-term contract in the future, which I think makes some sense. I'm not sure if New England's the number one place I would go, just simply because New England, they use a lot of different guys, and that's kind of why, on one hand, while it might seem like it's not a big pressing need, this is the flip side, which is the Patriots do this. They get a lot of different defensive backs and use them in different ways. This is what Bill Belichick has done his entire career, and I think it's really smart. For example, I think about like baseball. Like, let's take a team like the Tampa Bay Rays or the San Francisco Giants last year. I know I'm going to lose some of you here, but just stay with me. In baseball, what you'd see some teams do is say, hey, we don't have the most talent here, so what we're going to instead do is, instead of trying to find a guy who can crush lefties and righties and is just a great hitter all around, we'll find one guy who can crush lefties and one guy who can crush righties, and we'll just, play them dependent on who they're playing against. It's similar to what Bill Belichick does with his secondary. He finds someone like a Jabrill Peppers, who he's a great, box safety, right? He's kind of been put in that role. I think he can cover as well. The reality is he's had a weird career throughout the course of his career. He really shined in 2018. That was his shining moment. He was actually great in the Greg Williams scheme, interestingly enough. That was where he thrived, which isn't that different from what Bill Belichick does. Belichick doesn't blitz as much, but he certainly will blitz. And it's kind of been a similar thing, like that cover one man thing where, again, Belichick's defenses do 1,000 different things, right? So putting it in one box, it's just not accurate, but that is something that they do a decent amount, is what Greg Williams would do in Cleveland, where we saw Peppers have the most success. Peppers went to a different scheme for the past 3 years in the Giants. Remember, Peppers was a trade piece in the Odell Beckham Jr. trade, which ended up not working out too well for the Browns. Worked out well for the Giants. They got some draft picks, and they had Peppers, who was good for them for a couple of years, but he wasn't great for them. And I think that's kind of the thing is, what are we getting here? Are we going to get someone who is the 2018 Peppers, or are we kind of seeing as more of these guys like, we saw Jamal Adams, who was this dominant player in, again, a similar scheme, not really do the same stuff when he went to a different scheme. That's not to say that Adams was like bad in Seattle, but he certainly wasn't the same that he was with the Jets. And again, it's kind of similar thing with Peppers, where it's like he wasn't like bad with the Giants. And in fact, he had some really good moments. And again, coming off an ACL tear, that's another scary factor here for New England, but I think New England kind of feels like, well, it's worth taking a flyer on. So that's why I think it's more fascinating, I would say, because, again, he's someone who, if this works, this could be a great move for them. And I'm just, again, talking about the coverage stuff. If you go back to 2018, if you use PFF grades, which I like to look at from time to time, his run defense grade was a good 74.1. His coverage was 77.3. So his coverage was actually better than his run defense. That was his biggest attribute that year in 2018. So it's not like this is a guy he's not like Landon Collins or Jamal Adams, where he's just the box safety type guy. Like, he was able to cover, and we've seen him cover at times. It did not go well the past couple of years, though. So he kind of became that guy of just the box safety role. And so that's why I think it's fair to have a little bit of concerns, just because there is that issue. But I also think it's fair to say, like, you're not giving out much for him. This is a very low risk and high reward move. And for New England, some people are going to sit here and say, okay, why are we doing this? Like, why are you going out and re-signing McCourtney and signing Jabrill Peppers? Why not just keep J.C. Jackson? But this is what New England has always done, is they want to have, instead of having, 1 through 22 be as good as possible, they try to make 1 through 52 as good as possible. That's their logic. That's what they try and do, is make that roster be as good as possible and be as deep as possible, and have different guys be able to come in and play. That's why they've won 6 Super Bowls. And, like, listen, I know now it's popular to make fun of Bill Belichick because Brady won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, and now, everyone thinks like, oh, Bill Belichick, like he had Brady. It's like, okay, how come no other head coach slash GM has won 6 Super Bowls or even come close to winning 6 Super Bowls with an elite quarterback? Like, there's been other coaches and GMs who have had similar play to Tom Brady. They didn't have similar success. So, maybe the Colts with Peyton Manning, but they only won 1 Super Bowl with that, even with all the regular season success they had. So I trust Bill Belichick. That's my long-winded way of saying that. I think it's an interesting move. Part of me does wonder a little bit of, again, I still stand by. It's like, listen, I like what Jalen Mills did last year. Are we really going into the season with cornerback 1 Jalen Mills? Like, that's still kind of something that I'm a little bit concerned about. They added Malcolm Butler. He's an interesting flyer. I'm not really willing to sit here and say, oh, well, he'll be great and he'll be fantastic. So that's good. They got the star in Malcolm Butler. Like, okay, hold on. We don't know if that's the case just yet, and I'm not willing to go that far. Listen, Malcolm Butler was very good in this scheme last time he played in New England. My concern is, he's 32, and he hasn't looked as good these past couple of years. So little things like that I still have those concerns. And like, how much does adding a good safety who isn't known for his coverage going to help those concerns? So I think that's fair to say is, again, why are you putting the resources in the safety position? Why do you love the safety position so much? But at the same time, like, it's a complete flyer move. You're not giving up that many resources, and you're getting a legitimately good, like, a guy who has shown that he can be a good player, and it's worth a shot, I guess is what I would say. These are the moves that New England does, and they have a track record of having them work out. So I hope it works out. I think Peppers is one of the more electric players in the NFL, so I hope that he stays on the field. Hopefully he recovers from that ACL injury well, and hopefully he returns to that 2018 form where he was just so awesome. He was a blast to watch. That whole Browns team was a lot of fun. That was the Baker Mayfield rookie year where it was just electric, and he was part of that team. And when he left to go to the Giants, Browns fans were obviously happy that they got who they thought would be a great wide receiver to pair with Baker. Obviously, we know how it worked out, not so much, but at the time it felt that way. But they were still upset about losing Peppers. Like, that was like, oh man, it sucks that he's going to go. Like, I wish we could have found a way to keep him. So he's a valuable asset, even if he's not getting treated as one here as a free agent. There's still a lot of potential with him, and it's still a very interesting situation with him. And if anyone can find a way to get the potential out of him, it's Bill Belichick. So I would say I like this move from the Patriots' perspective. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this move? Let me know. What do you think about New England getting Jabrill Peppers? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.